are these people?
I found this through an aggregate source that I'm surprised it got caught. This is Ryan Grimm, none other than Autopilot himself, Ryan Grimm. With the Lego haircut and everything. But
although it looks better now, I think he's been listening.
I think someone probably, like told him to comb it the other way. Nice. I know. You don't have to be. I'll let you go in a second.
I don't have to say anything.
Oh, you're not gonna keep it together, I guarantee. U.S. has ramped up special operations personnel in Ukraine, and the world's second most important story, continues to unfold mostly out of the spotlight. We'll get to what his first most is. First? Oh, it's at the end. I brought it. I just wanted to make sure that we're in the 6 to 2 year late club over here. So there is a much larger presence of both CIA and U.S. Special Operations personnel and resources in Ukraine than there were at the time of the quote, Russian invasion, end quote. In February, my colleagues Ken Klippenstein and Jim Risen are reporting. So we get Klippenstooge, great. The flow of U.S. assets into Ukraine came after personnel and CIA contract assets were rushed out of the country at the start of the invasion, as the U.S. intelligence community assessed that Kiev would fall in a matter of days or weeks. These are also the same special ops that are like making sure all the money and weapons are going to the right people, and they're doing a great job. Great job. But
A plus.
I just want to make sure no one knocks on my door at least for an hour, But Risen and Klippenstein, so Ryan Grimm is using their reporting. So when it became clear that the agency's predictions of a rapid Russian victory had been wrong, the Biden administration sent the clandestine assets that had been pulled out of Ukraine back into the country. The military and intelligence officials said one U.S. official insisted that the CIA only conducted a partial withdrawal of its assets when the war began, and the agency never completely left. Now, in this next paragraph, Misty's going to realize why I'm reading it. Yet clandestine American operations inside Ukraine are now far more extensive than they were early in the war, when U.S. intelligence officials were fearful that Russia would steamroll over the Ukrainian army. There is a much larger presence of both CIA and U.S. Special Operations personnel and resources in Ukraine than there were at the time of the Russian invasion. Several current and former intelligence officials told the who? The Intercept. Yay, the Intercept.
The Intercept.
So you can just like go back to the beginning of this and reread of like what the state wants you to hear, pretty much. Mm-hmm. That,
just a reminder that the Intercept gives what's his name? Elliot Higgins a whole shit ton of money. Whole shit ton of money.
I just want to point people towards this little bit of narrative managing here that like that Russia was supposed to have like a rapid victory, right? We'll get to that because they kind of flip it and twist it and reverse it, So the pair also report that intelligence analysts badly underestimate the damage done to the Russian military by corruption inside its own military-industrial complex. My own guess is that such a critique might have been a bit too close to home. The graft embedded in our system is perhaps not so extraordinary, but we spend more than $800 billion a year on our defense budget, so we can paper over plenty of corruption and still come out with the most lethal fighting force in world history. Russia spends around $70 billion, so they have less room for error. Yeah. Like, what? Essentially, they're saying that, like, Russia's military is so corrupt, that's why it's taking them so long.
Yeah.
Like, okay. You
guys, I honestly, I I can believe it, but I can't believe it at the same time that after Iraq, people are still just unquestioningly swallowing and internalizing the establishment narrative on this thing. Like, really, just uncritically, Putin's bad. And so, do you know what I mean? It's another reason why I say we're fucked.
We're fucked. And they now appear
because we are. People are falling for this shit again, you guys.
Again. They're gonna fall for it in Taiwan in a year or so.
Damn.
Especially
and Iran. We're gonna do an Iran. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same shit every time.
And they now appear to be rapidly collapsing along huge swaths of their front lines. What? I think you need to relook at what's happening over there. Corruption plays into this too. When a system is held together purely by self-interest with no higher value driving it, when it starts to come apart, it can come apart in an instant as everyone positions to save themselves and grab what they can. Where this goes next is the most important question facing the world, given the very real risk of global nuclear war. Well, at least you're Day Orion. At least you don't like that. The second most important question facing the world in the short term, this is Ryan Grimm, everybody, just in case people were wondering, is the threat of a new pandemic. Yay, pandemics. Yay. Listen to this. Listen to what Ryan Grimm has finally willing to say. The mainstream press has largely dismissed the possibility that COVID-19 leaked out of a lab in Wuhan. What? But the scientific community is not at all so sure. Despite it remaining very much an open question, the US-based organization at the center of the question, EcoHealth Alliance, just recently got a brand new grant for high-risk research from the NIH that came just weeks after they had a previous sub-grant terminated for failure to turn over critical documents and lab notebooks requested as part of an investigation into the origin of the pandemic. Ryan's new story, then at 11. Like, what? He's again, we're 9 months late.
Does anybody know if he was pro-mandate?
I'm sure the chat will let us know.
I could see him being one of the. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. So I'm asking.
I'm sure he called Jimmy Dore a crazy conspiracy theorist for thinking.
You think he was pro-mandate, Collin? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about publicly. He might have taken the smart move and not said shit.
I'm pretty sure.
He might have sat on the fence. I don't know. I'm genuinely asking if anybody knows. I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious his position.
So I'd rather showcase some people who are actually over there looking up some stuff. You know these two people, three people. Tara Reid's Politics of Survival, which you can catch on Mondays on this channel. Talk to none other than Vanessa Beeley and Wyatt Reid, who have been in Ukraine and the Donbass,
literally putting their lives on the line.
And literally, we'll look up. You'll see the danger Misty's talking about here very shortly.
So you had something extraordinary happen to you, and I am so glad you are safe. And I'm going to get emotional because I was so worried about you. But Wyatt, could you describe to me what happened there to our audience? And I'm glad you're safe and I'm not going to cry. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. And that's very, very sweet of you to say. And honestly, I want to preface this by saying what I experienced was just a very, very minor taste of what the people that I have been talking to and interacting with every day have been experiencing for 8 years. But on Saturday night, I arrived here in Donetsk and was here at the Donbass Palace Hotel for less than an hour and was met with an artillery strike directly on our position. The windows of this hotel were shattered once again. Artillery strike, I believe a 155 millimeter strike from the Kiev regime forces hit just across the way. And I will actually take the viewers to go have a chance to see exactly the after effects of this attack by the Kiev regime. We have a strike here. You can see the after effects. This window has been shattered. The glass has been taken out. This was the most minor effect of this strike that took place just 30 meters over in this direction. I was outside when it happened. I watched this artillery strike hit our hotel. I was about 100 meters away, so I watched in front of my eyes a massive ball of flames and smoke rose up at least 3 stories high directly in front of me. I was, as I said, about 100 meters away. I was blown away. I was petrified. I was terrified. It was like nothing I've seen or felt in my life. I crouched down in the corner and had shattered glass from the buildings around me that was blown out by the pressure of the attack, rained down all around me. I immediately posted the video. I started recording about 5 seconds after this blast took place, 5 to 10 seconds after it took place. I captured my reaction to this. I captured the smoke and the car alarms going off and the natural consequences of an artillery strike on a civilian area, which is, of course, for the people that have been living here, then that's nothing new. This is what they've been enduring for 8 years. But to me, it was very new. It was an extremely new experience, horrific, breathtaking, something that I really don't wish upon anyone. But this is, again, what has been happening here for 8 years in a civilian area to a hotel that is known to host journalists. This is the 3rd time in 2 months that this same blast has been struck by the Kiev regime. It's a clear attempt to intimidate journalists, to stop people from coming here. And while I don't want to necessarily say that this was an attack on me personally, I do find it bizarre that this strike took place within an hour of my arrival and within an hour of me communicating to somebody, perhaps erroneously, perhaps stupidly, and telling somebody my location on WhatsApp, an application that is controlled by Facebook, a corporation that is totally loyal to the United States government. My location was shelled, and it was horrific. And I am very grateful to be alive. As I noted in a post that went pretty viral on Twitter, it's now gotten about 250,000 views. I noted that if I had come back about 30 seconds earlier, I would have most likely been killed by the Kiev regime. So that was my immediate experience upon coming to Donetsk. And the other journalists, the workers at this hotel, we formed kind of a bond of camaraderie after this, and we kind of all hung out at the hotel lobby. We drank a little bit of whiskey and kind of tried to process this extremely traumatic event. And they told me, welcome to Donetsk. This is your baptism, and you are now kind of a part of this, and you understand what we've all been going through for 8 years.
8 years, yeah. And
8 years. Like, Grim just got to some of it. Proud of him, you know.
Yeah.
But when it's coming from The Intercept, I definitely don't trust any of it.
No.
You know.
No.
So,
that's some Bellingcat shit. You gotta be very cautious. Plus, they're really good at screwing over sources.
Yep.
I would stay far away from it. I mean, I have a pretty strong bias against The Intercept for good reason.
Yeah.
They've proven themselves to be. They're like The Guardian. You know what I mean? I take nothing they do seriously. Every once in a while, they might accidentally get something right, or report on something that they have been given permission to report on that might actually. But I'll find it. You can find a better source to share that shit.
In this, there was a bit in here. I don't know if it was in this one or in another part of it that I read that, like, essentially Biden had told members of Congress his plans for, like, intelligence operations in Ukraine. So I don't know which ones he told, you know. but that would be an interesting look at who that was. Was that in this article or in something else we read yesterday, Collin?
Biden's not making any decisions in Ukraine. So I don't know who he could have told. He's not there. He's not. I don't even know that he's involved in those conversations. Honestly, he's definitely not making any of. He can't even navigate his way out of a room properly. You really think that they're letting him make decisions on Ukraine, Russia?
I mean,
no. Again, if
anything
anything
let him flip a dice
proves
or a
that
coin
it doesn't matter who the president is, it's
Yeah.
Joe Biden being president. Come on.
No.
I mean, Trump was a pretty good indicator, but Joe Biden, no decisions are being made by that man.
No, it's just like Bush. Bush wasn't making any decisions either. Like it's same difference.
But he hid it better. He did hide it better than Biden. Like Biden, it's very apparent. I mean, he is not in the best. He doesn't have the presence of mind. I think that's abundantly clear at this point. I mean, they're not even doing the whole. It's a stutter. It's a stutter. Be nice. It's not a stutter. I remember
when he was debating people and like murdering them. He wasn't a stutterer then. Like
no, like back in the 80s, if you watch old videos, he never had a stutter.
Not even
had a stutter when suddenly he was cognitively declined. You know what I
mean? When he was debating fucking pretty boy of the other Paul, the one that was like doing fucking he had that classic picture of like him with like the smallest dumbbell I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That one. Like Misty picks up heavier dumbbells like now.
Probably.
But anyway,